Today, I want to talk about neediness. And what I've come to understand is that neediness is like drinking poison. It is a state of mind that causes significant emotional pain. Think about whatever it is you feel needy about. What are you saying to the universe? I don't have it. I'm not worthy. I'm never going to get it. And where's neediness live? In your mind. It's a false belief that you're not enough. And it's fascinating to think that you don't have enough. That's because you've forgotten who you are. You are the divine expressing. You see, neediness stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of our true nature, that we're already whole, complete, and perfect. We forget that we are spirit. You see all the time out in the world today that we have a triune nature, spirit, mind, and body. That's a false sense. That's not who you are. You are spirit that has a body and a mind. The body and the mind are not equal to you. Spirit is everything. It's a sense of awareness that has no limits and no bounds. Your body and minds and emotions have boundaries. They're finite. They're limited. But your spirit is not. And your spirit doesn't have to become anything. It already is everything. The spirit has a mind and a body to use so that you can experience and create in this form. When we forget our intrinsic completeness, we start looking outside of ourselves to fill this perceived void. Call it that God-sized hole in your heart. And we try to fill it with people, with stuff and that. And no matter how much we fill it with stuff and people, we want more. What does that show as? Neediness. Do you ever notice that it's really painful to be around people that are needy? So when people don't want to be around you, you might ask the question, am I being needy? One of the things I've noticed in my marriage is I don't need my beautiful wife. I love her. I desire to be with her, but I don't need her most of the time. I still am human. Sometimes I feel I do need her. I need this from her, that from her. But in reality, I really don't. I don't rely on her for cooking, cleaning. I don't rely on her for money. I don't rely on her for just about anything. I choose to be with her for companionship. But if I didn't have her for companionship, I would have someone else. Because I can choose. It's not a need to have a companion, it's a desire. I'm not lost without her. I enjoy being with her, and there's a real difference. Jean does not complete me, and I do not complete Jean. We're whole and perfect just like we are. And that's a great way to live your relationship, because when you see yourself whole and perfect, man, the neediness just falls away. You see, when we're needy, we create unrealistic expectations for others, and we try to control the outcome so that our perceived needs are met. Yeah, you're hearing it. When you become needy, you would put these expectations. Your partner should do this. They should be this way. They should know what I'm thinking. I need for them to be like this. And we are absolutely miserable. And if they do meet our needs, after a while, it will not be enough. Why? Because what you're trying to fulfill your needs with cannot be sustainable. What you need is a sense of perfection that exists only when you. You see, when we're needy, we may fulfill a momentary need, but rest assured, your ego will tire with what you have and will need something else. And the cycle endlessly continues. That's what's happening in the dating world. People get involved with someone, they're in the infatuation stage, they're at their best behavior, their needs are being met, and then all of a sudden they start getting comfortable. The other person gets comfortable, and they're bored. Why? Because their neediness is not being pleased, it's not being satisfied. It never will be. No one can ever fulfill your needs other than you. This is what we talk about at Agape all the time. Everything begins and ends with you. Self-love is a process that only you can do. The more you self-love, the more you can love others. When you self-love enough, then being in relationship is easy. It is fun. What causes neediness? The first thing is our identification with our ego. Ego thrives on separation and lack. It convinces us that we need something or someone to make us whole, which creates a perception of dissatisfaction. The ego does not see unity. It does not see you as whole and perfect. It sees you needing things, conquering things. The ego can be our friend, but it also can be our worst enemy. And the ego is the number one cause for neediness. Another thing that causes neediness is our past condition. Our past conditioning, if we've experienced neglect, rejection, abandonment, we could develop a fear of being unloved and we become needy. Think about that child. A child, if it's not getting the love from its parent, it feels the need. It cries out for food. It cries out to be changed. It cries out for love. That's why you give a child everything. So it never longs or lacks. Because if it lacks as a child, it's going to take that lacking sensation into its adulthood, and we're forever dealing with that in psychology and whatever else. That young child doesn't have discernment until it doesn't start till after it's 8 years old. So everything prior to that, it's conditioned by its parents and by the environment. The other thing that causes neediness is inner conflict. When we're needy, we're conflicted between our true spiritual nature and our disconnection, and this causes inner turmoil. Our true spiritual nature is we've got it all. We're whole, perfect, and complete. But the ego says we're not. And so we got this battle. The body has sensations that it wants to release. Guess what? We've got a battle going on all the time between our true nature and our false sense of nature. And man, that causes a lot of turmoil, and people are conflicted with that. They start their spiritual journey and the conflict comes in, and a lot of times they just give up. The conflict's too great. The ego and the body sensations and the mind and stuff, it overpowers their understanding of their true nature. What about the pain of neediness? The emotional turmoil. When our sense of self-worth depends on external validation, we become vulnerable to emotional highs and lows. The praise and the rejection of others can deeply affect us, leading us to anxiety, depression, and insecurity. I know lots and lots of people, including myself, that our self-worth wants someone to approve of us. Makes us very needy. I don't want to be with needy people. I don't have the time for it. It's a waste of energy. I try to teach, fall in love with yourself, accept yourself as you are, see yourself as whole, perfect, and complete, and then the emotional turmoil disappears. Neediness causes pain in relationship strain. Constant demands for attention, reassurance, and validation can overwhelm others and pushes them away. That leads to loneliness and more neediness. You ever meet someone new? They love you and they can't get enough of you and they keep asking you for validation, for reassurance. A little bit they can go with. A lot they're gonna run, because chances are they're needy and their needs aren't being met with you because you're seeking to have your needs met through them. Also, inner conflict. Our true self knows that we're complete, or our ego insists otherwise, leading to conflict, and your mind is going back and forth, back and forth. There's no rest. It's constant analysis paralysis. That's painful. To overcome neediness, that's an extreme level of self-awareness that only you can develop. The first step to overcoming neediness is recognizing it. Recognizing that you're needy. Stop denying that you have a neediness. Self-awareness allows us to observe our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors without judgment. You see, self-awareness is that which observes. It doesn't judge. Can you observe yourself speaking out to your mom, dad, to your partner, to whomever? I need you to validate me. I need you to accept me. If you can observe it, that's the first step. The next thing is inner fulfillment. Shifting our focus from the external validation to an inner sense of fulfillment. The greatest way to start that is through meditation. Meditation is where you let go of all needs. You let go of all thoughts to the best of your ability. You watch them come and go. You don't become attached to the ones that feel good and the ones that feel bad. You see everything in balance. Then there's one of the most important things, and that is self-compassion. Cultivating an attitude to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, especially when we're feeling needy. Acknowledging our humanity and perceived imperfections reduces our self-criticism that fuels our neediness. If you did not create criticism about who you are and what you're doing and judging yourself against unrealistic expectations, you'd have no neediness. But you've created these unrealistic expectations because you want other people to like you. You want to please them. People-pleasing causes a lot of neediness. One of the big steps, and you've heard me talk about this many, many times, and that is letting go. Letting go of the attachment to outcomes and external validation. That's a powerful spiritual practice. When we believe we're complete and worthy, we can release the need for external approval. Can you start to go into meditation and realize all that you desire is already within you? Now you're going to say, not everything. Well, there are basic needs, food, shelter. Those are basic needs. But everything above that is not a basic need. It's a created need of the ego, a created need of the sensations in the body, a created need that comes from outside of you that can never be satisfied. To overcome neediness, one of the great things you can do is to serve others. When we shift our focus from our needs to the needs of others, what a spiritual practice that is. Acts of kindness and service help us realize we're interconnected. And our true joy comes from giving and balanced receiving. Do you notice how I said that? Some people give, and don't receive. Some people receive, and don't give. It's about balance. Because balanced thoughts, balanced emotions, balanced giving and receiving. When you do that, there's no neediness. Why? Because you're not out of balance. You're only needy when you're not in balance. I've given you a lot to talk about, to think about today. This is not something that's easy. It's not something that changes right away. It takes time. In conclusion, neediness is a state of mind that causes significant emotional pain. But addressing it from a spiritual perspective, we begin to move to an inner state of completeness and peace. It is through self-awareness that we can transcend the cycle of neediness and experience the true joy and freedom that come from knowing our true nature. When we know our true nature, we're in that state of balance. There is nothing better because it's pure peace. And we all seek pure peace, which is our natural state. Again, remember this: self-awareness begins and ends with you. It's not your partner. It's not a deity outside of you. It begins and ends with you. I invite you to start the process now.